Today, I am pleased to announce we have Jeremy of Blackmagic Craft on the crafter spot. Jeremy has converted many to the joys of crafting with his personal demeanor and impeccable skills. Join us now as we find out what makes this excellent creator tick. Jeremy, when did you start your channel?
I believe I started it in 2015. I know it was October. I think October 2015, which means I've been doing this channel for a while. I'm in my 7th year now.
Do you remember the specific event or inspiration that convinced you to start your YouTube channel?
I don't think there was a specific catalyst that made me start a YouTube channel. It was just what was going on at that time in my life. I had just started this hobby. I had just discovered the community of terrain builders and tabletop crafters. I had found a few channels that were, doing this kind of stuff at the time. DM's Craft, Runehammer, which at the time was Drunkens and Dragons, and I think Wylock. I think those were my first 3 I found. And at the time I was taking a break from music production because I had a new baby and I was kind of missing editing. So I figured, why not try editing video? And I started making some simple videos with my iPhone and iMovie just to share in the Facebook groups at the time.
Do you have a crafting philosophy?
My general philosophy in terms of all creation is to just do it. Don't be intimidated to start. Don't have decision paralysis. Don't wait until you have a perfect plan formulated. Just start making. No matter what, start making and finish it.
What is your favorite crafting material and why?
There's a lot of materials that I love and that I use a lot. I would have to say though that XPS foam is still my favorite. I don't use it as much as I used to because I've broadened my building style. But if we're talking like desert island building material, give up a bunch, keep one, it's gotta be XPS foam. You can just do so many different things with it.
What is your favorite craft item you have created?
Well, it's a group of projects. It's my Torment terrain. This is the most recent one in the set. Maybe it's my favorite of the set. I love it not only because like visually and aesthetically, I think it is the coolest thing I've made. It really feels me, but it's how it came to be. I had a creative block. I had no idea what to build and I just grabbed material and I built this. This was the first piece. And like I just said, just start building and finish something. And I made this. And then that turned into a whole set of terrain and that turned into a whole world I created. And that is now turning into my own original game, which I'm going to be putting out later this year, which is incredible to me. The fact that creative block, not knowing what I was going to do and just forcing myself to create, not only finished a project, but turned into what is now the defining project of this year for me, a whole game. That's crazy, right?
What is your favorite crafting technique?
I don't know. I like jumping around with a lot of different techniques. And my favorite technique is trying new techniques. I like being a jack of all trades, master of none, because a jack of all trades is still better than a master of one.
What's your favorite crafting tip?
Don't worry that you're going to wreck something by doing the next step or trying. If you're not confident in your painting skills, who cares? Just paint it. It's only paint. You can always redo it. No matter where you are in your, journey of ability and skill, your finished project could always be better. And it always probably would be better if you did it later in time when you knew more. So you got to just realize that, accept it, and get over it, and make things as good as you can at the moment. Just try and just do. I think I'm the Nike crafter. Just do it.
What is your artistic process? Is it meticulous planning or sudden inspiration?
I generally formulate a vibe, a kind of general idea. Sometimes it will be a purpose, like terrain. I need something to do something very specific. But a lot of the time, it's just a general idea, a setting, an atmosphere, a style. And I think about that very broadly. And I think about what kind of terrain piece do I want it to be? Do I want it to be something kind of modular and generic for like D&D, or do I want something that's a little bit more like a set piece, or do I want something that's more like for wargaming? And then once I define that criteria, which is pretty broad, I just start building. And I always work knowing that if I just keep pushing through and just keep adding and adding and, one step after the next, eventually I'll come up with something and it will probably be pretty decent.
What do you see in your future with this hobby?
Well, I don't know. If I had been asked that question 7 years ago when I started this channel, or even 3 years ago, I don't know that I would have come up with an answer that would have ended up being right. So I doubt I can now. I definitely see that it's growing much larger. There is a lot more people interested in both making small things and making things for gaming. 3D printing has made this hobby oddly accessible for a lot of people. And I think that the future of this hobby is really a further blurring of the lines between, miniature hobbyists, people who make just minis, people who make terrain for gaming, people who make dioramas, shut up, compressor, people who make display pieces, people who just do general nerdy crafting. I think all of those little groups are coming together, and the future of the hobby is one really large space where you have people building terrain for their game, little old ladies making fairy houses next to people that are making really high detailed historical models. I think all these worlds are converging. We're all learning from each other, and that's great.
What games are you making crafts to be used in?
Well, I always make stuff that can be used for D&D or similar games. I recently made a fair bit of Cyberpunk stuff for playing Cyberpunk Red. And like I mentioned, Torment, the game I'm developing, I'm building a lot of stuff for that. Now, I also just generally build things that are for war games, skirmish games in general. And I like to make things that can be used in a variety of settings. Because honestly, I like building terrain more than I like playing. The game is kind of secondary for me, usually.
What craft was your biggest failure? Did you recover in some way or just chalk it up to a learning experience?
Well. I made this rat diorama. It went really sour with the resin pour. I saved it and I finished it, but I was never happy with it. So a year later, I made another one, a different one. And this was a redemption piece for me, and I'm really happy about it. It almost makes me like this one more because no longer is this a thorn in my side, being something I just really wish I had done better. Now, the pear is like an example of how you sometimes just gotta try again and come up with something different. And I did, and I feel like that was a big personal success.
Why do you think people follow you, Jeremy?
Well, I think in the beginning there was a bit of a approachability aspect to the stuff I was doing. I was trying really hard to make things that anyone could make and try to make videos that, made the whole process less intimidating. 7 years later, you can only do beginner stuff for so long and so often. And I'm now just really going around on my own journey and just sharing what I'm making. And the following that has retained, I think, is just people who enjoy my company. I think that all creators that are successful because a significant amount of people just enjoy hanging out with them for a while in a video, seeing what they're up to and feeling like they're their friends. So yeah, I guess that's what it is. That's why I watch the people that I watch.
What's the most useful advice you've learned from running your own YouTube channel?
Try not to be too bothered about what others think. The second you put yourself out there, there's a lot of people who are going to have a lot of nasty opinions about you or the things you do. Spend time nurturing those around you that care about you and enjoy what you do, and try to ignore the ones that don't.
Hey, I hope all you enjoyed this interview with Jeremy. Very informative. If you somehow don't know about Jeremy, go to Blackmagic Craft and check out his channel. Tons of great videos, awesome information. You gotta follow this guy, so check out Jeremy. Also, on the Crafter Spot, I interviewed Wylock for the first episode. If you haven't seen that, check it out. Really great information, a wonderful guy, and sub his channel also. And if you don't know, I did a module with Jeremy some time back called The Harvest, which is this creepy kind of deserted village module, which is really fun. It's on questgivers.com, so check that out if you'd like to have a fun night of adventure. You guys take care, and see you next time on the Crafter Spot.